You are not imagining it. Last year feels like 3 months ago. The year before that feels like last month. And somehow, 10 years have passed and you cannot fully account for where they went. You remember being a child and summer felt endless. A single afternoon could stretch on forever. A week before your birthday felt like a year. And now an entire season disappears before you notice it has changed. Nobody warns you about this. Nobody tells you that at some point in your life, time will stop feeling like a river and start feeling like a drain. But here is the strange part. Time has not actually changed. A year is still 365 days. A day is still 24 hours. The clock has not moved faster. You have. And the reason why is far more unsettling than you would expect. In 1877, a French philosopher named Paul Janet noticed something that nobody had formally written about before. He observed that a 10-year-old child experiences 1 year as 1/10 of their entire life. But a 50-year-old experiences that same year as 1/50th of theirs. The older you get, the smaller each year becomes as a proportion of your total experience. He called this the proportionality theory of time perception. A year at age 8 feels like an eternity because it literally represents a huge chunk of everything you have ever known. A year at 40 feels brief because your brain is measuring it against decades of accumulated life. But that is only the beginning of the answer. In the early 2000s, neuroscientist David Eagleman at Baylor College of Medicine began studying how the brain processes time. He discovered something that changed how scientists think about memory and time perception entirely. Your brain does not record time like a camera. It does not store continuous footage of your days. What your brain actually stores are novel experiences. New things. Surprising things. Things that have never happened to you before. When you are a child, almost everything is new. Every food is a new taste. Every place is a new discovery. Every emotion is happening for the first time. Your brain is recording constantly because everything is worth recording. And when you look back at childhood, it feels long because there is so much footage. So many distinct memories, each one a landmark. But as you get older, something shifts. You find a routine. You wake up at the same time. You take the same route to work. You eat the same meals. You have the same conversations. And your brain, which is always trying to conserve energy, stops recording. Why would it record the same commute for the 400th time? Why would it store another Tuesday that looked exactly like the last 50 Tuesdays? It does not. It compresses them. It files them away as a single blurred entry. And when you look back at a year that was mostly routine, there is almost nothing there. Just a handful of moments floating in a gray fog of sameness. That is why the year disappeared. Not because time moved faster, because you gave your brain nothing worth remembering. Eagleman tested this directly. He had participants do 2 things. First, spend 2 weeks doing only familiar, routine activities. Then spend 2 weeks deliberately trying one new thing every single day. When he asked them to estimate how long each period felt in retrospect, the results were striking. The routine weeks felt compressed, almost forgotten. The novel weeks felt expansive, almost twice as long in memory. Same amount of clock time, completely different experience of duration. But there is another layer to this, and it might be the most uncomfortable part. Neuroscientists have found that emotional intensity also stretches time perception. When something frightening, painful, or deeply meaningful happens, your brain enters a heightened state. It records in slow motion. It captures details. It stores everything. This is why traumatic events feel like they lasted much longer than they did. It is why a car accident that takes 3 seconds can feel like 3 minutes. Your brain knew that moment mattered, so it paid full attention. Now think about your average Wednesday. Nothing threatening. Nothing surprising. Nothing deeply meaningful. Your brain glides through it on autopilot. And by Thursday morning, Wednesday is already dissolving. The years that feel longest in memory are almost always the hardest ones. The year you lost someone. The year everything fell apart. The year you had to rebuild from nothing. Those years are dense with memory because your brain was fully switched on the entire time. The comfortable years, the stable years, the years where everything was fine, those are the ones that vanish. There is a cruel irony in this. We spend most of our lives trying to reach a place of comfort and safety. And the moment we get there, time starts accelerating. Because comfort, by definition, is the absence of novelty. And novelty is what makes time feel real. In 2019, researchers at the Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich published a study on time perception across the lifespan. They found that people over the age of 40 consistently underestimate how much time has passed compared to younger participants. Their brains had simply stopped marking time with enough distinct events to use as reference points. The internal clock was running, but nobody was watching it. So what do you do with this? The answer that science keeps pointing to is almost embarrassingly simple. Do new things. Not grand things necessarily. Not expensive things. Just different things. Take a different road home. Talk to someone you have never spoken to. Learn something that makes you feel like a beginner again. Travel somewhere your brain has no map for. Sit with an emotion you usually run from. Every genuinely new experience is a timestamp your brain lays down in memory. A marker that later tells you that yes, this period was real. This period was lived. This period was not just survived. The people who look back at long, full lives are rarely the ones who played it safe. They are the ones who kept introducing their brain to things it had never seen before. They kept the footage running. You cannot slow down the clock. But you can fill the time with enough texture that when you look back, it does not feel like it slipped away while you were not paying attention. Time is not speeding up. You are just watching less of it.